Bravo Fox Pop, leveling 16,000. 337 for Bravo Fox Pop. Okay, 3,000, left, number 10.
We got tools at Salvo. Welcome to the tool shop. Vincent Tyler. We're here to talk about PCCs.
What's up, YouTube chads?
Guys, are they still relevant?
Yes.
That's the question of the day. I am personally of the mindset that no, I don't like PCCs. I don't. And Tyler, you take an opposing opinion.
Yep. I hate 95% of PCCs. So don't get it construed as I think they're all great and all PCs are perfect, but to a degree there are some PCCs on the market that, in my opinion, make a good argument for why you should own one.
Yeah. So, first, Tyler, why don't you introduce us to the second coolest gun in Die Hard? And HKP7.
No one refers to P7 in Die Hard.
They don't have to refer
John
to it.
McClane, famously Beretta, and an MP5 guy.
Gruber.
Ho ho ho! I have a machine gun. I mean, I don't, but you know, still goes.
We digress.
Yes.
Why don't you introduce us to yours and tell us, give us a rundown.
So, this is my PCC. This is the only PCC I own. It's an MP5 clone. This is a PTR 9CT. I don't know, man. I think if you ask any kid who grew up between the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, this is the coolest gun of all time. It's a little different, you know. If you have some modern kids, the MP7 seems to be kind of the go-to.
I don't get that.
I'm not an MP7 guy.
I don't get that.
But kind of going on that tangent, there's a lot to be said about a good PCC, and I think that's where we all get a lot of issues with PCCs. Most of the market is saturated with garbage, and there's only a handful of good options out there, and they're not cheap. And I think that's where the big issue will kind of arise. There's plenty of good short-barreled ARs in a multitude of calibers that are affordable. The good PCCs aren't cheap, and that's because the good PCCs historically are not straight blowback, and if they are, they have some form of dampening mechanism. Makes the gun more expensive to produce, especially when you're running on a roller delay mechanism, which requires more parts than a traditional PCC. But I don't know about you, Vince. I understand where you're coming from, and they're not relevant, and I actually agree with you on most of those terms. I still have a few key points I would highlight. But go ahead, show us your alternative to a PCC.
This is just a 300 Blackout build. It's obviously unfinished, but it is SBR, or it's an SBR lower. But 9-inch 300 Blackout. I am going to change the handguard out to a 7-inch handguard and then put a cherry bomb on top. It's a 1-in-7 twist mega barrel on a mega receiver. My thoughts are overall length. This is not, like, once I do put a cherry bomb on there, you're cutting an inch off that Surefire. But once you put that on there, it's not going to be but an inch or two longer than Tyler's MP5. I mean, and I have the ability to run 300 Blackout supers and subs. So I'm getting, 45 ACP ballistics out of subs. I'm getting, 1,500 foot-pounds of energy out of supers. So, 2.5, 44 mags out of supers. So, I have a battle rifle in the same size as a PCC, which is, don't get me wrong, can be utilized as a battle rifle, but it's really like, I have the ability to reach out a lot further. I'm going to have the velocity, I'm going to have penetration with supers. So to me, and weight savings, like even with a red dot and a light, these will weigh roughly the same. I mean, within ounces of the same. So, 30 rounds of 300 Blackout versus 39. That's my thought process. 30 of 9.
Oh. Okay, so I mean, on most of points, you're right. as a usable firearm for an engagement scenario, I'm not going to argue with you that a small rifle caliber makes more sense. You get more kinetic energy. 300 Blackout is special. You're able to kind of go between supers and subs reliably. That is something most cartridges just can't do unless they're designed to do that. 300 Blackout's one of the few that exist on the market that were designed to go between those two and reliably function a firearm. My biggest counterpoint to that is training. Shooting for fun, shooting for training. Vince, how much is 1,000 rounds of 300 Blackout going to run?
Oh, a lot. They're $1 a round. Right now is what I can get them for.
$1,000.
Yeah.
$230 to $300, depending on where I go, where I can find it. Can I pull any strings? Prior to COVID, we all know 9mm is about $180 for 1,000.
Yes.
I could go to the range and shoot this all day long. And I don't mean stagnant shooting at paper. I could go to an outdoor range with a tactical bay. And I could run this gun as much as I like, mag after mag after mag, and not care about it. I can burn as much ammo as readily available. It's getting back to that point too. It's not like this is days of yesteryear. Right now, like I said, between $230 to $330, about $100 difference. Last case of 9, I picked up 3 cases at $280 a case.
Yeah. Pre-COVID, I remember buying $180 got me 1,000.
Oh, you couldn't give it away.
Yeah.
So there is that really kind of sound decision of, if I buy a PCC, I can afford to shoot that gun a lot.
And I will definitely agree with you. Training does matter.
Yeah.
You default to the level of mastery. You don't default to the level that you think that you can do.
Yeah, everyone thinks they're John Wick.
Yes.
And then they get to the range, and they're Bubba T on the range. They can barely hit stuff. They're taking a very slow time. The only way to fix that is training. The other thing too, and the one reason I think everyone should have a PCC, regardless if you are a really big fan of PCCs or you're not, is the commonality of the cartridge. 9mm is the most common handgun cartridge of its type. Mm-hmm. The idea of having a platform that turns what is a handgun cartridge into a rifle, it makes a lot of sense.
And that being an 8.5-inch barrel?
8.86.
All right, so almost
right
9. Yeah. You're looking at, with some hot, like plus P 124 grains, they're turning into 357 magnums.
And on that same note, kind of the same thing you can do. I can go between supers and subs pretty easily. Obviously, supers in this suppress extremely well. Cans in jail, this gun's not complete without its can. But kind of going on that, you can shoot this a metric ton and financially not care about it. At the end of the day, too, another big benefit is you do have a platform that turns a handgun cartridge into a fighting carbine. We all pretend about that end of the world scenario, right? The zombie apocalypse. But if you think about it, well, what's the most common handgun cartridge? 9. What's the most common type of firearm sold within the United States? Handguns. By default, the most common caliber of a center fire pistol cartridge is 9mm.
So let me ask you then, why get an MP5 when you could get something like a B&T APC9 Pro that takes Glock mags?
Oh,
and that way you could pair your mag to your gun.
Oh shit, you're serious?
Yeah, I am serious. If you're going on that same thought process of commonality in cartridge,
let me. I'm having a hard time. Let me get your question straight. Why take a gun that was specifically designed around 9mm, arguably the best PCC in 9mm, which most people consider the gold standard of PCC magazines? Why instead of going with that, go with a overpriced straight blowback gun using magazines that were never designed to function out of it?
I'm not disagreeing the overpriced. I'm not disagreeing with any of that. What I'm saying is, why, if you're going to say commonality of cartridge, why not get one that fires with the same magazines?
So that's a good point. I'll agree with you that. Glock mags are great. They're not PCC mags. They're not. They can't keep up with the speed of the bolt, double stack, single feed. That was never designed to run out of a PCC. There is a reason when a real manufacturer, like real, not Caltech,
Correct. Yes.
when they decide, hey, we need to make a military and police PCC, we need to make a gun we can sell to militaries, police, have support, they almost never use handgun mags, right?
Yes.
We have the MP5, which is the king. We have the CZ Scorpion, which I hate, but the gun is running its proprietary mags, which aren't bad. B&T has a Glock loader, right? But at the same time, what did they do before that? They had their own. Now they kind of screwed up with their mags. They're all designed to work out of the TP9. As a result, they're all straight.
Yes.
They kind of fucked up hard on that one. But we're talking about a gun that is going to shoot smoother. It's not straight blowback. Roller delay blowback is an amazing system. It delays the cycling of the bolt. The bolt is half the mass of most of your PCCs. It moves significantly slower. The gun just kind of flatlines. If you have the option to shoot a full auto MP5, whether it be your local gun range, if you're lucky enough to have a friend, or just any scenario where someone's like, hey man, you want to shoot this? Do it. It's a laser beam. The gun moves back a little bit and then just kind of stays in one spot and dumps all its rounds. Like straight up, it is a miracle of a gun to shoot. You can run this thing fast, and that's going to be one of my other kind of points of contingency. When you get good with a proper PCC, it is a cheat code. There's no recoil. The gun is really fast.
Agreed.
That's going to be kind of my thing. It's B&T is great. It is straight blowback. It is a hydraulically delayed system, not delayed, buffered system. The bolt hits a hydraulic buffer. You know what happens after a lot of usage with those?
I do.
That hydraulic buffer leaks.
I've seen some come in to the shop.
You know, little wetback.
Yeah.
Seal is. Do not tamper with steel. It's wet.
I will also say, to the MP5 specifically, to its credit, is how well it suppresses.
Yeah, you can change the locking piece. It suppresses great out of the box. The K, you really need to. The base model, or base, the traditional MP5, the 886, it suppresses extremely well. You can tune the gun by changing the locking piece. You can pull the locking piece out, get a different angle piece, and you can make the gun run even slower. I can't think of another gun that does that. Adjustable gas systems aside on your ARs and other rifles. You can literally like, oh, I'm running this gun suppressed, let me throw in a number 28 locking piece, let me slow this thing down significantly. And all of a sudden you have a gun that has less recoil than it should suppress. You have a gun that is quieter as a result, and you have a gun with less recoil. Now the general rule of thumb on most firearms, put a can on, you're going to have more recoil, that's the big one. The gun is going to do more wear and tear, and overall the gun's going to have more recoil because that bolt's just slammed into the back. You can basically delete that from the equation with an MP5 by just changing that little locking piece.
I will say also to the MP5's credit is, and again this is specifically to the MP5. Like I have shot one of our close friends, HK MP5, and suppressed, and there's like no gas coming back out.
No, not at all.
Whereas because this one, I haven't put the cherry bomb on it yet, the can is in jail. When I suppress this one, I do have an adjustable gas block, but it will, like I'm going to have to tune it. It's going to spit at me. I'll end up walking out looking like a racist because half my face is painted black.
God damn it.
I mean, it's the truth.
God damn it.
It's the truth. Like, look, I don't want to be confused as racist. So
fair enough. Especially in 2023.
Yeah, right?
I don't know. It's all this aside, practical usage. You know, the fact that no argument simplifies best sub gun, no personal bias aside. It's a fun gun.
It is a fun gun.
You don't care for PCCs.
I do not. I will shoot that all day.
No. You want one.
I do. Now,
that's the thing.
That being said, what I'll end up doing is buying a SIG Rattler upper, more than likely, and throwing it on here, being able to fold the stock just the same, 9-inch barrel, and it'll fit in the backpack. It has an adjustable gas block. It'll run reliably, and with a 1-in-5 twist on the barrel, it'll do subs like crazy. It's not going to put. It'll end up putting like 300,000 plus RPMs on the bullet with supers, but nothing like with a Vox K2 can that I have for it is it can handle that. It's not going to go crazy wild or anything like that. So I'm not concerned about that. My whole thoughts are I'm against K PCC guns especially because there's no
4.5 inch.
yeah, there's no point in getting a 4 to 4.5 inch barrel PCC whenever I could get for literally that much more, get a full size PCC and have better ballistics.
There's a big advantage in my mind.
Yes.
Backpack.
I
You can keep the can on in the backpack. I for the longest time was not a fan of the MP5K.
I am just because of the movie Airheads. So,
Dude.
it's a deep cut.
Didn't he use Uzi BB guns in that movie?
He carried an MP5K through the air ducts.
Oh damn. He did.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a blast from the past. I actually rewatched that a few months ago. Anyway, the big thing is I wasn't the biggest fan of K guns for the same reason. I can get a Glock 17 with a longer barrel.
Right.
But then the idea of like I can have this gun with a can on it in my bag, and again my big thing was just I have so much 9 is so cheap.
I mean, for that though, you could get a Glock 17, put it in a B&T chassis.
That's not the same.
It's not the same.
That is not. You know for a fact.
I do. But what I'm saying is like then you have the same ballistics and everything like that. It'll fold up just the same.
It doesn't. You will not be able to operate it the same.
No, because you have a stock this big. It's not really. It's like 2.5
It's
points of
also off
contact.
angle like this.
Yes,
So the
it
whole
is.
gun just wants to go back.
Like again, my thing is for almost the exact same overall length, and once I get a Rattler upper on it, man, I can then fold it up. It's gonna be the same size.
And again, is a usable rifle something that you are actually going to use in a end of the world or any other scenario? 300 Blackout is a better cartridge. I'm not debating that. You should own a PCC.
Yes, someone like me who has thousands of rounds of 300 Blackout sitting, that's one thing. For the average person, though, I would say maybe they need to go PCC before they
Even
go with that.
you're buying a PCC eventually.
I will, yes.
So that's the thing.
Also, specifically for my wife, I have looked into PCCs for her. Like she has an 11.5, 5.56, but 30 rounds, 5.56, and that 11.5 with optic and light. Exactly. There's zero recoil. It's not
Specifically on the MP5.
It is the weight wise is
Manageable.
the same-ish. However, the fact that it suppresses so well and it's so light recoiling, and again with the commonality in the cartridge, does make it a desirable thing for me. Now, for me personally, I'm not convinced to carry one, like in a backpack, but I mean, you do.
Yeah, it fits my bag. Sometimes I just like shooting it when I'm out and about. Like I'll go to a range and pop off a few mags. Again, I can do that. It's cheap to shoot. I think what a lot of it boils down to, I'm not really the biggest PCC fan. I'm a huge MP5 fan. Right, and that's where a lot of people kind of get me misinterpolated. I don't think PCCs are the best thing since sliced bread. Again, for most of the part, something like this is going to serve you better. Now, in this current configuration, this is larger than it needs to be compared to an MP5. The barrels are almost the same size. This gun's larger. This makes more sense in a real combat or fighting rifle scenario. Not that we do combat. Look at us.
Super handsome.
Yeah, super handsome and in shape. But realistically speaking, this would make more sense. What it boils down to, though, I can promise you, I have shot this way more than you've shot this.
Agreed. That being said, that's because
By thousands of rounds and not much money. That's the big thing. I have put so many rounds through this gun. I've gotten extremely fast with the reloads. That is the one ergonomic downside of an MP5. No last round bolt hold open. You train with it, it's easy.
That being said, with the MP5,
It's not hard.
I will say this. There is not much sexier for a kid who grew up when we did for this.
Yep.
This reminds me of every SWAT TV show, of Die Hard, I mean, how many movies were they kicking in doors carrying this? I mean, albeit it was with a can that was out to here, I'm flagging myself.
Yeah.
But out to here. But, like, you can get these borderline movie quiet.
Yeah, so another thing I want to touch on, I talked about the overpriced B&Ts, and I do actually like B&Ts. Manufacturing quality is really good.
Yeah, it's a Swiss watch.
I'm getting tired of hearing Swiss watch.
It's
So many fucking people. Oh, a Swiss watch. Shut up, it's not. There are machining marks. The gun is not beautifully made. It's a good gun.
No, I'm not saying it's beautifully made. I'm
Oh,
saying
no,
that it's...
I'm just saying the people you and me.
Oh,
They have this
yes.
B&T a Swiss watch. Like, it's not. It's a good gun. It's stop using the whole Swiss watch comparison.
The fan base that we are of Glock is blown to dust by people who swear by B&T. And even the guys who don't own B&T.
How many B&T guys, because we know quite a few in online work, how many B&T guys do you know that actively use the ever-living shit out of their gun?
Only one.
So that's
one.
about right.
And there's literally, like, I'm thinking of at least 20, 25 guys that come in and they will preach
B&T. And they haven't shot it a lot. Like, you're like, oh man, how long have you had it? About 2 years. How much you run? Oh, I've run a few mags. It's great.
Yeah.
What?
Well, I just have so many other guns.
But
I'd love to have that kind of money.
I mean, even if I did,
like, train, like, use it.
well, here's the thing. Even if I did, most guns I own, I shoot a lot. There are plenty of guns I own where I don't go to the range and blast off thousands of rounds.
Yeah.
You'll see more and more of those in those ranting reviews. I still shoot those though, quite a lot.
Yeah.
I was out at ETS. It's an outdoor range for these, it's a big outdoor range. We're going to be doing a lot of footage there.
Yep.
Also a lot of footage on
You can run a gun. Yep.
I was running my 1873 Winchester replica. I ran 600 rounds in a day just for fun because I felt like it when I woke up. But anyway, I mentioned how those are overpriced. And you may be going, well, you're a fucking hypocrite. You're talking about overpriced and you're holding the $3,500 SMG clone. Let's get this straight. This is not an HK SP5.
Yep.
If you have the money for an SP5, albeit, go at it, good. Like, that's great. I can't blow $3,500 on a gun that not only I know I'm going to beat the crap out of. You can't see it that, well, this gun's filthy, it's scratched. But also at the same time, when there are well-made, affordable clones. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh, everything else is garbage and this is the good one. There's a few good options.
Like, look, I honestly like the Zeniths back whenever they were.
They're MKE.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, you have the MKE guns, which are now being imported by Century. Believe it or not, they're good.
They're good.
I will never financially give Turkey money, but they're good. Then you have the actual new Zeniths, which are US made. Verdict's not truly out. A lot of guys say they're good. I will acquire their new HK53 clone when I can. Because I really, really wanted a 53. I am a huge roller delay fan, if you can't tell. And then you have PTR. PTR's been doing roller guns for God knows how long.
Yes.
A little over 22 years now. They've had a mixed reputation, but a lot of guys say, hey man, a lot of the hate that PTR gets is from the HK crowd. The idea that you can get an HK clone for not, this much money's got to be bad. They're fit and finish, not the world's best, depending on the gun. They've gotten a lot better over the last few years.
Yeah.
This gun in particular has made me fall in love with PTR as a company. Not only has this gun run like a sewing machine, and is everything I ever wanted an MP5 to be, the fit and finish is astonishingly good.
Yes.
Like, it's strangely really good. The welds are clean, and not only are they clean, they're the cleanest I've seen in a long time. Even cleaner than some of the SP5s that come in. Mm-hmm. The welds are beautifully clean. The finish is it looks just like the HK style epoxy finish. They did a great job, and upon that customer support, MP5s are going to wear out extractor springs.
Yes.
I called PTR, said, hey, I need a few extractor springs. They sent me 20 of them free of charge overnight.
That is customer service, right?
That's great. But we're not going to rave about this gun in particular. We're going to have a whole other video about the PTR, or the MP5. This video, kind of going down, is talk about PCCs versus...
Yeah. And again, like I would say, if you're talking about the average PCC versus the average, and when I say the average PCC,
Yeah, Scorpions, sub 2000s, all the shit that's straight blowback made out of plastic.
The AR pattern ones that run on Glock mags.
They suck.
Look, I would rather have a 300 Blackout SBR than...
Any of those, like...
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are some of the cheapest built guns you can get your hands on.
I mean, the only other way it would be for me is to get, like, a full Uzi, and that's out of nostalgia factor alone.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, I think a lot of the misconceptions with PCCs, honestly, are the fact that like 80 to 90% of them that are available on our market are absolute dog shit.
Yeah, they are.
They're mostly plastic because they need to keep the weight down. Why? Because they use straight blowback, which means the bolt weighs as much as my Honda. Like, legitimately, most of them are garbage. I love CZ. The Scorpion's a piece of shit, especially at its price point. I love BNT. It's not a $2,000+
Yeah, it's not. I mean,
I hate Keltec, and the sub 2000 is one of the best guns they make, and it's still crap.
Yep.
Like overall.
And the guys who were saying my sub 2000 runs like a top.
How many times do you run it a year? How many rounds?
Also, I don't care. Like
that too.
It's
I really couldn't give a
great.
shit.
It folds up. Cool,
man.
You have to do this to run it.
All right, cool. That's dope.
Can you still run that like that?
Yeah. And that's the thing. There's only a handful of good PCCs. You have the Banshee, which is CMG's offering.
Yeah.
It's weird thinking of CMG as a mid-tier to premium manufacturer. They're not premium. Let's be honest, a few years ago, anyone would have laughed at you if you were proud of your CMG.
The best thing that the Banshee has going for it is the bolt.
Yeah, radial delay is actually the whole system.
That's what it is.
It's the second option to the best system. But again, the thing is, like, the problem with PCCs, the average 300 Blackout, SBR, is way better than the average PCC. Because the average PCC is garbage, and the average 300 Blackout,
at least
SBR is based on Glock 15.
Yeah.
But the caveat, if you have a good PCC, whether it be an MP5, whether it be a Banshee, I'm not the biggest fan of the price point, but BNTs are good. That buffer system does a good job help dampening recoil. It's pretty hard to argue that those are not great guns. The other thing too is you might be going, well, you keep saying recoil. Well, it's a 9mm. How much can it have? Have you ever shot Scorpion?
Yes.
Okay, so I wouldn't describe it as recoil, right? The gun's not trying to beat the crap out of you. The gun wants to do a bit of a dance, though.
Yeah, because
if you try to run it
bolt
fast,
slaps.
yeah, you have a over 1.5 2 gun bolt. It's moving very fast. Well, not that fast, but relatively fast compared to a delayed system. And it's just chuck, just back and forth. And if you try to run a full auto if you try to run a Scorpion fast, and I use the Scorpion because I love picking on the Scorpion. The gun just duck. It kind of wants to play a bit of a dance with you.
Yeah.
And when you run a proper PCC, like a Banshee or an MP5, the gun flatlines. Just tut. It gets kind of boring.
Another option that I would actually, like, for the same reason as the Uzi, would be a typewriter. Give me a Thompson.
Have you ever shot one?
Yes, I have.
They're
not good, but I want it because, again, like, you watch things like Band of Brothers, you watch Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, it's one of the coolest guns in history.
Yeah, absolutely. It's for nostalgia purposes. It's not good.
No.
And 100.
No.
Have you ever felt a 100-round drum of 45 ACP?
Or even a 50?
Yeah, 230 grains. I mean, your mag weighs
twice as much as the gun.
Yeah, pounds. With the Z, pounds. But it's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Because of what it is.
And that's the thing too. Above all, dude, you can't argue how fun these are.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I can't argue how fun That is.
So when we argue which one's more practical, which one still has use, there are uses for both.
Yes, agreed.
The big use is, hey man, you want to go to the range and spend 1,000 rounds and have fun and get some actual training and target acquisition? Bro, this is the gun. Like, no one's gonna argue. Like, 5.56 is cheap, but this is half the price.
Also, I will say, kicking indoors, not that we are not door kickers, but if you were, like, there's a bump in the night, I would rather use that.
Indoors.
Because I have family, and I don't want to murder my family by shooting through multiple walls, and I will with this.
And yeah, I mean, again, all rounds over penetrate. We're not arguing that 9mm is some other magical round that doesn't. In fact, 9mm is pretty bad at it.
Yes.
But 147 grain subsonic or 150 grain subsonic hollow point is going to give you one of the better chances. That's the thing. Hollow point handgun rounds expand a lot. Hollow point rifle rounds, bit of a difference. As far as being, not so barrier blind, they both suck. They're both going to open. This is going to be better at it.
However, like my point is, if I use this at all, a 300 Blackout isn't going to fragmentate like a 5.56 will.
No.
It is a slug that will move.
Yeah.
And
it's 220 grain.
After the third ball, it's still like it's keyholing through other walls. This one, however, is going to do it far less.
Yeah.
And that's the point. Because again, no matter what you shoot, even if it's a pistol or buckshot, it's still going through walls.
Yep.
Can you go through less walls? That's the point.
And again, I mean, kind of wrapping up the video, my big relevancy are 2 points with PCCs. Number one, you can train with it a lot, and no matter what, most people, it's not a lot of money. Number two, and the reason I think everyone should own one, that includes you, this is the most prevalent handgun cartridge in the United States, arguably the entire world.
Agreed.
Why wouldn't you want a gun that takes, why wouldn't you want a rifle that accepts a handgun cartridge like that? Because in the event of, I need a gun for X amount, for prolonged usage, right? Not just, I need to defend my house, but the zombie apocalypse, the end of the world, what we thought was going to happen with COVID. What is such a bad idea of having a rifle that accepts that cartridge? Not just a handgun, but let's say you somehow magically, and if this was you, I'm envious, find 2,000 rounds of 9mm.
Yeah.
You have a defensive carbine to run that through. That you can carry like your rifle if you're low on 300 Blackout, which most people are from the day they built the gun, or they're low on 5.56. You're gonna find a ton of this ammo. It's not that heavy. You can carry multiple mags because they're so damn small. There's something loadout for a mag pouch that holds 2 AR mags, 4 of these bad boys.
That's true. So I have multiple chest carriers and my plate carrier. My plates, I have 3 AR mags.
Yeah.
And then on my chest carriers, I have 6.
Yeah.
This is literally 12. If I get the inserts, I can hold 12. So
one mag pouch is 120 rounds.
Yes.
So that kind of thing, and it depending on the mag pouch, we only get 3 in there. Still, that's 90 rounds. And again, I think that's my argument. Everyone should have one. I also have, SBRs. I also have, I'm doing a small little 5.5 inch gun Blackout. It makes more sense for that average roll. But you need one of these. It's useful, it's common, and dude, come on. Above all.
So guys, wrapping it up. I don't know if we've convinced y'all, which
I hope I have.
Need to go to the PCC.
No, you need to buy an MP5.
I would say that.
You don't buy a PCC, you buy an MP5.
That's the correct answer. Is don't buy a PCC unless it's an MP5. Otherwise, go with a moderate rifle caliber in a shorter SBR package.
Yeah. Buy an MP5.
Anyways, tools of Salvo, guys.
Buy an MP5.